Hello, colleagues. I'm delighted to be talking to you about our strategic planning efforts. I came here in 2007. I was part of the sort of second wave of faculty on the campus. The campus had been open a couple years. Talk about this campus began when I was still in graduate school back in the 80s, so I watched what happened very carefully. What attracted me here was the commitment from the very beginning to environmental sustainability, to environmental growth and equity, to building civic capacity, improving health outcomes, and especially educational outcomes in the Valley. And we've been through a lot of exercises in defining and redefining ourselves, all necessary as we've been growing very quickly. None of that has really changed, but we've never really talked about how to go from thinking about what we want to be to what we actually do to get there. And so what we've found again and again is we try to implement these plans in an ad hoc way on a fairly short timeline. And it leads to very strange overgrowth in some areas and undergrowth and support for those areas, a not very intentional approach to rapid growth. And it's led to stresses and strains where some aspects of the campus outgrow their support structures and lead people in positions of great stress. Well, what we're doing this time with our strategic plan is we're setting a 10-year horizon. So we have clear goals and a sense of how much we're going to accomplish toward those goals at intermediate steps along the way with clear measurements. That's been a big part of the effort in this planning, is not simply saying this is where we want to go, but what are the steps to get there? And those steps include not just hiring faculty or bringing in certain numbers of students or considering new areas for growth in programs, but also what do we need to support it? And how do we look at the resources that we have available to us and make sure that they are put in the places that are necessary for us to get where we want to go? As I say, we've always been a research university. We're part of the University of California. Our destiny is to be with the other campuses. In the Carnegie classification R1, highest research activity, we're well on our way to get there. But we want to do that in a way that has all the support so that it is appropriate and balanced and less stressful for people. So what we're going to see in the strategic plan as it's developed is a fairly consistent approach to our main goals, but for the first time, a detailed and practical effort to get from where we are to where we want to be. That to me is the most exciting thing about this plan, is really moving to the kind of mature infrastructure and careful understanding of what needs to happen in terms of our buildings, in terms of research support staff, in terms of student support staff, in terms of administrative support staff, the entire picture, and modern systems so we can work effectively and efficiently. The whole part of that support structure is built into the way we're doing this planning. I hope you will look at the document in front of you, not just with the eye to what are the big goals, but instead with an eye to how am I going to play a part in thinking about the steps and thinking about how we get from where we are to where we want to go. This is going to be a learning process. Everything about our campus has been a learning process. None of this is baked absolutely. We know we have to be flexible. We know the environment changes around us quite quickly, as this last year of COVID has shown us. So none of these stepping stones has an absolute timeline, but they give us targets, they give us goals, and what we'll be needing to look at this point is, do we really have the right steps? And do we also have the right mechanisms for returning to what we're doing to make sure we can make the appropriate adjustments on the way? This process should move us toward maturity as a campus. This process should move us toward a position where we are both in a predictable and flexible environment. Now, those two things are in somewhat of a tension, but it's absolutely necessary for us to be able to thrive as an institution, to be able to have a clear sense of where we're going and why, as well as opportunities for taking advantage of circumstances that are different than what we envision right now, positively and negatively. I mean, we certainly know that the COVID crisis at the beginning looked like it was not only going to affect our operations in terms of being with one another, but also our budget. And it has hit our budget, but not as badly as we originally expected. So we had to flex. There was no question about it. And we will be in other circumstances going forward over the next decade where we'll have to flex. I suspect some of them will be very positive opportunities as well. But this plan gives us bearings. This plan is a compass. This plan is the North Star that keeps us going. And it's also the operations manual for the campus as we're moving in the direction of our goals. So please give it your attention both to the goals and to the process, because that, I think, is where we're going to see the real value of this plan. Thanks.